Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Aethix Fitness, and you're listening to the Aethix Approach podcast, where we cover all things vegan, fitness, and nutrition related, and chat with inspiring and influential vegans who are out there leading by example. If you haven't already, it would really help if you subscribed to, liked, commented, and or shared any of the content I'm producing, including this podcast, free articles and training programs on aethixfitness.com, videos on YouTube, and more. I truly appreciate all you guys for the love and support. In today's episode, I chat with 181-pound vegan powerlifter Marco Galindo Jr. about his latest 755-pound deadlift attempt and aiming for the world record, nutrition and protein intake, programming strategies for powerlifting, working with coaches, tips for serious lifters, Marco's multiple business ventures, and much, much more. Marco is a super nice guy, and his work ethic is insanely impressive, as you're about to find out. It was a pleasure having him on the show, and I hope you all enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed chatting with him. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Ryan from the Aethix Approach podcast. I'm here with Marco, super strong, 83 kg vegan powerlifter, and we're going to talk vegan powerlifting and nutrition and all that good stuff. So, Marco, thanks so much for coming on and talking today, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I'm 82.5 kg lifter, right? I'm 181.
Not IPF, right?
Yeah, not IPF. Yeah,
okay.
It's USPA instead of USAPL.
Okay.
It's the same damn.
USAPL?
USPA. So USAPL
USPA.
would be USAPL is like the US version of what the IPF is essentially.
Okay.
So USPA is a different federation. It's more so it's tested and then untested.
Okay.
Right. So when I first started off, I competed USAPL, and then after my after my third competition, I switched to USPA, and I've pretty much been with them since for the past it's been a minute, man. I've been powerlifting I started when I was 17, so
wow.
I'm 26. Yeah, I'm 26 now, so it's almost year 9, almost 10 of competing. So,
oh wow! So you've been lifting for a while, pretty seriously, then.
Yeah, basically, as soon as I started lifting seriously, I started getting into competing. Powerlifting, it sounds like it wasn't that long ago, but like I said, it's almost like 10 years now. Even 10 years ago, it wasn't what it is now, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like powerlifting was a lot less competitive back then. Just a lot less good, you know? It wasn't that hard to be good kind of when I first got into it, especially at the team level, like local team level, it was very easy. Now powerlifting's insanely hard.
Dude, it's insane.
It's just crazy the amount of everything that's being done now at my weight class, let alone once you get into 198 and 220, those guys are setting 10, 11 times body weight totals, being that heavy. It's just insane. Dude, so
I've been following John Haack for years, and he's in 83 kg, right?
He's the GOAT.
So
I think he's done. So he's USPA. He's actually my federation.
Okay.
He's that's the world record deadlift I was going after this past weekend. Was his record.
What I thought, dude. Damn.
And so he's I think done with 181 now. Everything that I understand, he's moved up to 198. I think full time now. He's just a big dude, man. He's I think Hack's 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's just difficult. I'm 5'7", you know. So it's a lot easier to be at this weight. And, I walk around at 190, 195 and then, drop weight to compete. For him, from what I understand, I think he's over 205 or something now, body weight.
Oh, wow.
And I think he's been there pretty consistently for about a year since he set the all-time world record at 181.
Yeah.
I think he's done with it. And now he's just looking at setting the 198 world record, which he also currently has. So, yeah, that guy's a freak, man.
That guy is a phenom. It's just nuts.
He is, yeah. Yeah, even before, even when he was competing tested, he was the best. In the USAPL, he was the best. And then now USPA, he's the best in the world. So
his record tested was, what was that? What was that deadlift? 780 or something?
I don't think it was that high, no, because I think the IPF world record is it actually just got set in March. It's 750, I believe. It was 749, and I think some kid just beat it at 750 and a half, something like that.
Oh shit. Was that
Um,
originally Haack though, before he switched over?
it could have been. Yeah, it may have been Haack before he switched over. His deadlift's really blown up in the past like year and a half.
Right.
I mean, the guy has no weaknesses, right? So he's always been phenomenal.
His
In every
leverages
lift,
are pretty
but
average too. It's nuts. Like he doesn't have any
yeah,
advantages really.
no, his form's not even that great. Yeah, it's weird. Like it doesn't make sense, you know. But it's also, I mean, some of the better 181s, period. They're not necessarily guys with like super ideal leverages or super like phenomenal forms or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a lot of guys that make it work. Once you get into like more of the heavier weight classes, you see guys, and lighter weight classes, you see guys with just like pristine form, years and years and years of technique. But yeah, no, I don't know. Haack just never like ABC that guy, but he's just the best.
Do you know who took the deadlift record? Who's in first right now? Because you're second, right?
And yeah, so you're saying in the IPF or just period?
The deadlift you just pulled, that was 755, was it?
755. So crazy enough, that lift didn't count, right?
Yeah, dude, that was wild. That should have counted.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Two of the judges have reached out to me, like I think one like actually on my Instagram, like, oh, you know, I don't know what happened. I was like, I don't know what happened either, man. You guys were there, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that lift would have been the second all time to John Haack, right? So John Haack,
okay,
because the way the records work, it's like we worry about just world records all the time, right? So it's not necessarily current, like for 2020. It's more so just like what has been done, period, in the history of powerlifting.
Right.
So like that's more like what I'm concerned with, right? I feel like I had a pretty good chance at you know, that setting, you know, getting to number 2 and then possibly even getting up there. The lift was so easy, man. It was so like it was so ridiculous. It was like the best lift of my life.
Oh my god.
So it just, yeah, it was pretty effortless.
What did they flag you for? They said like you dropped it or something?
Yeah, so basically it's like it's funny. I've gone back and forth with my buddy who was there handling me, like loading on my weights and everything. And
yeah.
It's the reason why like I don't do local meets, man. It just wasn't super ideal conditions. Like, and not to make any excuses. The lift didn't count, so it doesn't matter. I can make what excuse I want now. So it was that they said I didn't hold the lift long enough.
Okay.
Even though I got a down command, which was super confusing to me because it's like, you know, in powerlifting, for whoever's going to be watching, right? Like, there's no starting command. You get to lift. The only command that you have is a down command once you finish the lift. So I got a down command. I put the weight down, and then they said 2 red lights, 1 white light, and I need at least 2 white lights to 1 red light. So it just missed. I guess the 2 side judges said I didn't hold it enough. The biggest issue was so I live in South Florida. I probably should have said that. I live in South Florida. This was a local South Florida meet. And we're lifting in a garage style gym. It's like a powerlifting gym. It's actually a phenomenal gym. But it's
was air conditioning? Was it super hot?
100 and something degrees in there. No air conditioning. They had like a fan blowing, which was weird, kind of like as on the platform. So yeah, when I got to the top of the lift, both of my hands just completely ripped open.
Yeah.
Which has never happened to me before, you know? And it could be a couple different factors. Like, from what I understand, it's just the humidity, right? The humidity in the room. It just makes sense. My hands ripped open. They were also, because of everything that's going on with the fires and everything, each attempt, they were disinfecting the bar. So it could have just been that the bar was a little bit wet, you know, with like the disinfecting, whatever they were using. So again, a bunch of factors. At the end of the day, like, it felt great. It was my second attempt, right? So next attempt would have been 777. And then if I got that, they would have given me a 4th attempt. If you're going for a world record, they give you a 4th attempt, even though technically there's only 3 attempts.
Holy shit.
And the 4th attempt would have been 800, you know? And, you know, my buddy Brandon, who was there handling me, he was like, dude, the way 755 moved, he's like, we should just call 800 on a 3rd. And I'm like, yeah, it's just my hands are open and now I'm screwed.
Fuck.
You know, so it's like, again, it is what it is. It happens. It's a platform. Right. Do the lift or you don't. And they said I didn't. So it's
you can't
super
really do
unfortunate. Yeah, you can't do anything. It's back to training. Kinda. I can't deadlift yet because my hands are still completely screwed. But it's but no, I'm back in the gym training. Hoping to compete full power whenever they put on another event.
So how do you feel after that? Do you feel more motivated or do you feel like pissed off?
Both, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's for me, man. It's like I felt like I was gonna have a day. You know, like I've had those days before, and I felt like that was the day for me to really, really do something, and just the way everything was moving, the way I felt. So it's definitely disappointing, like in the moment. Yeah. But it's also like I know I'm going to have another opportunity. You know, I'm not done. I'm not retired. I'm not. I got plenty of injuries, plenty of nagging stuff that's always there. But I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. So I know I'm going to have more opportunities. It's just unfortunate because I really thought, that I at least could have like risen up the record boards, which was, kind of the plan from the beginning anyway. But yeah, plenty of fire, man. I've always got fire ready to really just go out and do it. I feel like I'm capable of it. Yeah. And that's kind of what keeps me in line and keeps me motivated. It's just like I actually think, like myself, I do think it's possible that I could set a world record one day. And one day soon.
That 755, that flew up for sure. And like looking at that, I was like, dude, how is that a bad lift? Like, I think you even saw the judge, flag you to put it down.
Down command. Oh yeah,
so,
100%.
I don't get it, but I don't know. Like you said, probably just a bad call. I mean, you can't really do much. But.
And it is what it is. And even if the most disappointing part wasn't even the lift itself, right? It's the fact that I ripped my hands open after, because like the lift, like again, just based on the video, like I got the lift. I don't care whether they counted it or not. Like to me, the lift was super easy. I got the lift. That wasn't my goal, Like my goal was it was 777 minimum. Yeah. It was getting our third attempt, which was 777, and then if that flew, then it was going to be 800. Yeah. So the fact that like I didn't even get an opportunity to have another lift because my hands were so screwed, that was like the small disappointing part. Then the fact that they didn't count it, that's the motivating part, Yeah. That's like, all right, I'm ready to really, really get back to it.
Yeah, you were probably like coming in fired up as hell, then hitting that 755. You're probably like, damn,
I never get red lights. So it's, I'm ready to kind of go out and do it again as soon as I can. And just make it 100% legitimate, but really going after, as close to 800 as possible, because that's my goal. So
that's insane, dude. That's such a huge lift. I cannot even fathom. That's just insane.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's also just something I'm working towards for a long time.
Right.
Like I think I pulled 700 for the first time like probably 5 years ago.
I've been following you for probably like 3 years. I guess probably about 3 years by now. Because I think I was following you before you went vegan, and that was that a couple years ago?
No. So I actually didn't even make an Instagram until I was vegan. Oh, so I kind of got to Instagram late. Yeah. I kind of got to Instagram late. So I think I got to Instagram at the end of or middle of or end of 2017.
Okay.
Because I've been vegan like almost 4 years now.
4 years,
and
really?
Almost 4 years now.
Oh, wow. For some reason, I could have sworn that I started following you right before you went vegan, and you were talking about like transitioning over to going vegan. And I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's strong as hell already. And like, that's so cool to see that. But I guess I was mistaken there.
I think me and Jordan, Conscious Monster, as everybody knows the guy as Jordan. He's like my actual real life friend. So he's Jordan to me. He's not Conscious Muscle. Me and him did a video when I think I was like 5 or 6 months vegan at that point. Okay. Just kind of talking about like what the transition was like. So it may have been that you saw. Just kind of explaining like, hey, how it's been, strength, recovery, training, all that. So I think we put out, I think it was a YouTube video we put out, at about 6 months. But yeah, it's been almost 4 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Being fully vegan, and that's kind of what it's been. So it's fun. I definitely enjoy it.
So he inspired you to go vegan in the first place?
For sure. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like a lot of people, especially anybody vegan, right? They know who Conscious Muscle is, right? He's big online now. But back then he was just my buddy Jordan, my friend, and like he was a guy, he was just like a personal trainer, and he was, so I own supplement stores. He would come into my store all the time, and he kept haggling me about like getting in some random vegan protein that we didn't carry. And I was like, I'm not carrying this garbage. Like I'm not, we carried like, back then at my store, we only carried like one brand. I think it was like Vega, or Vega tastes awful.
Yeah,
Vega's terrible. I think we carried Vega back then only. So everything that I knew about like vegan supplements and protein was like Vega.
Yeah, right.
And I don't like Vega. So like he kept trying to like, hey man, think about bringing in this and this and this. And then finally, after a couple of years of him just hounding me, we started bringing in more stuff. I started trying more vegan supplements. Really did a lot of research as far as like how I could actually implement it in my diet. And then I really just kind of saw him just doing good, right? His life totally changed. He was a regular guy, personal trainer. Really got involved in the community, started coaching, just blew up. But I could freaking do it, and that's kind of when we made the switch. Was just him just being there on me, and really not even on me as much, but just kind of showing me, hey, this is possible. And from there, I tried it out, and it took me a long time. It took me probably like, I think it was like almost 6 months fully to transition, because I was, not just a meat eater, but a heavy meat eater.
Yeah, right.
Like trying to explain that to people, like when you're doing, not over exaggerating, but like 1.5 pounds of meat a day. Seriously.
Damn.
Just I've always been pretty regimented with my diet and macros, calories, things like that. And I was eating that much meat every day. I would literally eat a steak after training every night. To go from that to fully plant-based, it wasn't easy, and it definitely wasn't fast.
Yeah.
So it was just little by little by little. First, I switched over my supplements. That was the easiest thing for me. Just plant-based amino acids, plant-based proteins, getting away from like fish or like dumb stuff like that. Then it was like, all right, hey, no more red meat, and then no more, chicken. I never liked fish or any of that. No cheese, they're just very simple. And after about 6 months, I was good. I was ready to go.
Right.
And I think it's been about 4 years since. But yeah, he was the guy.
That's awesome, dude.
He was the guy that kind of got me.
So what did you, in terms of just switching out your meals and such, was it kind of just like, were you eating something like, I don't know, just typical bodybuilder stuff like chicken, rice, broccoli, and you just swapped out like the chicken for like Gardein or something? Or what did you do?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And honestly, that's a lot of what it still is. I know there's like a big vegan debate, right? Like,
that's like the healthy vegan debate versus the junk food one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always try to explain to people, like, because people be like, well, what do you eat? And I'm like, well, or it's the same two questions I get. What do you eat? How do you train?
Yeah.
And I always try to explain to people, like, look, the way I do it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's like perfectly sound and correct. It doesn't mean it's like the healthiest. Like, I don't eat a whole foods plant-based diet. Like I eat a plant-based diet, but it's not like veggies and salads and all. Like, it's just, that's not me, man.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not my diet. And I'm a very like picky eater, very regimented eater, and for me, it's actually easier to eat a lot of the same things. So it was like switched out chicken for tofu.
Yeah.
Right. It was rice. We pretty much kept the same, but what we started doing was more like quinoa, and then like lentils or red kidney beans, because those are like carb products, but they also have like a little bit of protein. So it made up for the lack of protein that you get in tofu versus chicken. but basically my macros stay the exact same. And like for me, what's always worked for me, not that it's right or anything, not that anybody should listen to what I say, because what the hell do I know? A high protein diet has always worked. And by high, I mean very high protein diet. You know, I get in about, Yeah,
I was gonna say, I did watch your interview with Jordan, and just because I wanted to like kind of see, you know, like what was already said beforehand, just so I have a basic idea.
Yeah.
But I know you were saying you eat like 240 grams of protein. Is that still the case? Because that was probably years ago, right?
Yeah, but it's about the same, man. Yeah, it's about just depending on exact where I'm at, 225 to 250 a day, every day, right? And it's a lot. Again, it's probably not ideal for digestion. It's probably not ideal to be eating some of the processed like tofu and gardein. And yesterday we just tried the I've tried the Impossible burgers, like at like restaurants or whatever, but we actually got like the Impossible like pack, like
from the store, right?
From the store. Yeah, I haven't seen a store that had it until yesterday. So we tried that last night, and that was good, you know. So like, it again, for me, it's just what works. It's a lot of the same things as it's been since I first went vegan. I think it's going to be like this forever, man, especially as long as I'm competing and training. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's clearly working for you.
It's just what works. Yeah, it definitely, it absolutely works for me. And it's just what makes the most sense, right? Because people be like, well, how much protein do you think I should eat? Like somebody will ask me that. I'm like, well, I mean, scientifically, right? Like the difference between 0.75 grams of protein and then what I do, which is more like 1.25, there's not a ginormous difference, right? It's very small differences, but for me, those very small differences matter, right? It's like the difference in training, 6 days a week versus training 5 days a week. It's very little difference, but there's a little difference, and like I'm trying to figure out every edge I can possibly get.
Yeah.
So
have you, just out of curiosity, did you ever try eating lower protein? Like, did you actually like notice your progress going down?
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. And people even disagree with that. So the only thing that I'll say is I did try it, not for very long.
Yeah.
To where I would have like what I would consider like super reliable data. I honestly probably should have tried it longer than what I actually did, but I did.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I noticed was, so the plus that I noticed was my digestion was easier, right? For sure. It's just very simple. But I thought my recovery was worse. And it's also, I'm not a big guy. Like basically I kept my calories the same and I just added in more carbs instead of the protein, right? To make up for the calories. I've never been a huge eater in general. Like people, they'll ask me, hey man, how many calories do you eat? And my calories are pretty low for what like the average person may think. So
what
my
are
carbs stay pretty low. So it's usually like, we'll go anywhere from, as low as like 2,100 calories.
Oh, wow.
So like maybe, even at the highest though, maybe 25, 26.
Wow.
It's not that high, right? Like a lot of people would think, at least from what I hear, they think it's dramatically more, and it's just not.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge eater, and I'm definitely not like 400 grams of carbs guy, you know? Like I'm just not. So, because I've always been good with like carbs, but like more moderate, like average, high protein, and then like lower-ish to moderate fat.
Yeah.
It's just what works for me. And
right.
That's kind of why I've always stuck with it. Again, I think I'll stick with that till like I'm no longer training and competing at the level that I'm trying to, train and compete at.
Yeah, of course.
So, long term, is it like the healthiest thing? Probably not. I mean, if I'm 100% honest, but it's just what I feel like works for me and what I'm going to continue to do.
Right.
It's the same thing with my training, man. Like I keep running into injuries in training, and I think like a very smart person could argue like, yeah, you're probably training too much. You're probably training too hard. you know, probably true, but like, this is the training that also brings me progress.
Yeah.
So if I have little nicks and knacks and injuries here and there, again, to me, it's also worth it, because I think that that's how I've always made progress, and that's how I'm going to continue to make progress until I can, you know, finally figure it out, or I just get on a whole bunch of gear and let my body figure it out that way.
Yeah, right.
You know, because now that'll kind of eliminate what would be a lot of the injuries in that part too. Which, you know, I'm no prude, so I'm definitely open.
Yeah. What is since you kind of touched on it, what's your training like? You train 6 days a week usually?
Yep. So 6 days a week. It's basically like 3 lower, 3 upper days.
Okay.
Right. Basically, well, kind of, right. It's kind of like push, pull, legs is basically, so it's usually squatting twice a week. I actually usually only deadlift once a week. I do a lot of upper back work that I'll do about 3 times a week, and then I'll bench twice a week.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty upper lower split is what works for me. I know some of the bro science guys are like once a week everything, and then some powerlifters are like, oh, you gotta squat 4 times a week and bench 4 times. Like, I don't do that crap.
Yeah.
I also don't do upper and lower on the same day. You know, I don't bench and squat on the same day. I don't deadlift and bench on the same day. It's just not what I do.
Yeah.
So again, more so what works for me and what's worked for me. So
do you follow
6 days a week.
Do you follow any sort of periodization or anything?
Yeah, so I do all my own programming.
Okay.
And my programming is basically periodization. Just different waves. We do about 4 to 6 week waves.
Okay.
I've basically always done my programming. I've had programs done for me by probably like 10 or so different coaches that I've literally paid to make me programs, and then I don't follow them.
Yeah.
I'm just always interested in like what I feel like smart guys are doing and saying, teaching people, because from those things I can kind of pull, you know, small little things and then add them into my training.
So who are some of those people that you kind of follow for like programming tips and advice and stuff?
Yeah, so like I was saying, the only guy I recommend is Trevor Jaffe. I think he's the absolute best.
What's his name?
Trevor Jaffe.
Trevor Jaffe.
On Instagram, I think he's at Jaffe Strength.
Okay.
Genius. Just the absolute best coach. Yeah, seriously, he's the absolute best guy I've seen explain form and training blocks and recovery and peaking, which is where everybody gets it wrong.
Right.
How to actively rest, how to stretch. I never stretched up until, not kidding, man, up until
a lot of dynamic stretching.
A year ago. Yep, a lot of dynamic stretching.
Okay.
Just a lot of things that, like, I think guys really think past. And I like and respect Jaffe because he's a great lifter himself. He's coached just the best of the best. So I think that's kind of what makes like a good coach, right? Like, people will ask me, hey man, are you going to get into coaching? And I'm like, nope, I have no interest in getting into coaching. I don't program for people. I don't do other programs. Like, I just have no interest in it. But if I did, I feel like actually being a decent lifter, I think it would help you so much, right? And I think like that's what kind of drew me to a guy like Jaffe. But no, I've reached out to a bunch of guys. I reached out to like Eric Lillibridge, who did a program for me.
Okay.
You know, one of the best lifters of all time.
Yeah, of course.
And this is years and years ago. Right now, everybody does programming, so like all programming.
Dude,
sucks.
Everyone's a fucking online coach.
It's all terrible now. Like, you know, 5 years ago, or maybe longer, I had to reach out to Lillibridge. What he said was a custom program, and it may have actually been a custom program. And it was actually pretty decent. So I reached out to some guys, you know, that I really like and respect. And have gotten really, really good advice. And I've tried different programs. RPS made me a program I thought it was completely awful. Renaissance Periodization.
Right.
And they're huge. They're like maybe the biggest like training platform, period. Them and like Hybrid. right?
What do you think about all of his? What do you think about like all of Mike Israetel's stuff and such? Like speaking of periodization.
Yeah, I think he's very smart. Obviously, I think he's extremely educated. I think Israetel's very clearly biased, right? And I think like that's, and I think it's okay, right? I think most coaching platforms that are that big, which there's not, I think they're literally number one. Again, I think hybrid may be coming up behind them pretty quickly. What Steffi Coan and Hayden Bow, what they're doing with hybrid, I think
she's
is
a
really
monster.
Good. She's a monster, and the programming that they put, I think, is actually very good.
Okay.
I've seen some of their programming. I've had different friends do their programming. So like, I think their stuff's good, but even like with hybrid, which I like, or RPS, which as a whole, I think is decent. The program that was done for me was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah. I never followed it. Is it's just all RPE based, I guess?
Yeah, so it's all RPE based. But it was also like, so I did their program in 2018, heading to the Europa. And it was a 5-day training split. And I've never been so fatigued in my life. I've never felt terrible, weak. I mean, the peaking was done very poor. Everything was just done really, really bad. And I hurt myself really bad, tore my abductor.
Oh, shit.
Heading into that competition. 100% could have been my fault. Could have been a bunch of different things, but I think the programming played a really big part, actually.
Too much volume or something?
Too much volume, and then we really didn't work with anything heavy, which I didn't like up until the past like month.
Was it like Shaco, sort of?
Yeah, I don't know, man. My biggest problem was like I felt like they ramped up the peaking like at the end like a lot. And before that, we just were doing a bunch of like dumb. I'm like, how is this going to work? And then peak all of a sudden very quickly and very, very high. And it's like everybody's going to get hurt. Like I didn't understand. I just followed it right. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And that's like the one and only time that I've ever done a program heading into a meet that wasn't done myself. And probably the last time I'll ever do that. So it's, but again, I think as a whole, what they built is pretty decent. I think they kill it when it comes to newer lifters, beginning lifters. I think there's not going to be that many great programs for really good experienced lifters. That's why, when guys ask me, hey, who do you recommend? I'll recommend them to Jaffe, right? Because he's trained some of the best in the world, men and women, a bunch of different weight classes.
Yeah.
But also challenge guys like, look, man, I think a lot of the best guys, they do a lot of their own stuff. They may have a coach, they may get a template program.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys are able to just kind of gear up themselves, which I think long-term, Ed Coan, right, best powerlifter of all time.
Right.
I actually met him when I was 17 at like my second meet ever. He was like one of the judges, which is insane.
Oh,
I
that's
have a
awesome.
picture with him. Yeah, I have a picture with him. He was the nicest guy.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, even back then, he literally, I didn't even know what programming was.
Yeah.
And he was like, listen, son, you do your own programming. And I was like, you got it. I didn't know what that was.
Sir.
I was like, yes, sir. And he, that's always stuck with me,
Yeah.
And then like once I actually like researched it and like kind of heard his real thoughts on it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, do I think there's really good training platforms out there? Absolutely. Do I think there's good coaches out there? For sure. Do I think there's a lot of bad coaches?
Yeah.
Yes. I think there's mostly bad coaches. And like you said, everybody's a coach now, right? Compete a couple times, you do okay, even if you're not okay. There's plenty of like good coaches that aren't even good lifters.
Yeah.
Not that you have to be a good lifter to be a coach, because there's plenty of crossover there too. But yeah, I just think every local gym has some guy that does programming and charges $150 a month, and it's usually terrible, or just very, very basic. to where like only a beginner is going to benefit from, and besides that, it's just going to be.
How about like all the Simian Pandas and stuff throwing out these like templates like for $100 a pop that they're just like not even customized?
Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started, right? Like, it's a huge joke, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's business, because like the one thing that I'll never knock anybody, like, you know, kind of talked about a little bit with my stores and then some different other brands that I own. Like, I'm a huge businessman. Like, I love business, right? I'm all about capitalization. Like, I'm all about it. You do you, right? Build a platform, sell on it. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But do I respect what those guys are doing? No.
Right.
Because it would only take a little bit of effort, right, to put in to make something that's halfway decent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not again, it's not rocket science. You don't have to go to school. Like my wife, right? My wife, extremely educated, has her degree in working out, and she was, you know, personal trainer for years, and she went into repping, then she went into managing. Somebody like her to even write up some program, it would take her like 10 minutes to do. So it's not hard. You know, like, that's with the background. I can write something up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes too, without any background, no education, anything. That would be decent.
Yeah.
You know, not because, oh, I'm me, or because, no, just because it's not that hard. So, like, these guys that go out and sell like the same program to 1,000 different people, and it's like 5 different templates, 10 different templates, and based on like your weight, they're going to send you the same one they're going to send everybody else. It's 170 pounds.
Yeah, man.
You know, that's trying to lose weight. Like, I hate that.
It sucks. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think there's so many.
It's bad for the industry.
Oh, for sure. I think there's so many good free programs out there too. Like, you can just
absolutely,
like, all the best novice programs. Like, you got like Mark Ripeto's Starting Strength and stuff, which is like, you know, well known as being like a good strength training program for novices, at least. I mean, that stuff's all free and such. Like, you can find a spreadsheet for all that stuff. And then you got the more like intermediate and advanced templates. You can find those a lot of really good ones for free too.
100%. Yeah, and like I said, there's good coaches out there too, right?
Yeah.
It's just, should you go with like the biggest thing you can find? Probably not. You know, like, it's probably the exact opposite.
Yeah, go for the biggest bodybuilder, and you're gonna get like a terrible program, probably.
100%. The bigger the name, probably the worse the program.
Yeah.
Right? Unless they just have somebody else that does it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And like it's just so very common. Like I said, my buddy Jordan, Punch Muscle, right? His programs, he spent a lot of time. He was a trainer for, 10 years, putting together programs for people before he even got into the vegan space in general. So like a guy like him, I can actually recommend. He mostly helps people just transitioning from a regular diet to a plant-based diet. Right? That's a lot of what he does, is transformation stuff, which is great. But even on just the workout side, I've seen those programs. They're good. I've helped him put some of those programs together. They're good. He has help. He has other guys like that are educated, that are smart, other trainers that actually know what they're doing. Like, they spend a lot of time, a lot of money putting this stuff together. So something like that, I can 100% recommend.
Yeah.
But some random person who's putting like 5 random templates together, get out of my life,
It's 6 days of like just doing arm days.
100%. Yeah, or just like the most basic thing you can look up on bodybuilding.com.
Yeah.
From like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
Like,
so you were around, you were like lifting for a long time, and you probably like were back around like the bodybuilding.com forum days and stuff, right?
100%.
So like, when I guess we probably both started lifting relatively around the same time then, and was it for you? I mean, luckily, I guess you got into powerlifting pretty young, but you remember like how body part splits were so popular? It was like the go-to for everybody, it seemed like. How did you kind of break out of that?
Still seems like it, by the way.
It's still too popular. Yeah. Did you kind of follow anything like that at the beginning, or did you kind of just get right in the powerlifting?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
No, I was such a sheep. Yeah, I was such a sheep. Typical growth, chest, triceps, back and shoulders and very, very, very stuff is kind of just how I started working out, period. I got into powerlifting kind of, there was some guy, I literally, first gym I ever worked out at was Planet Fitness. And
oh,
the
dude,
trainer,
me too.
trainers at Planet Fitness. Really, that's funny. Yeah. One of the trainers at Planet Fitness literally went up to me and said, "Hey man, you ever heard of powerlifting?" And I was like, "Nope, never heard of it."
What?
And he was like, he was at Planet Fitness. He was Joe. His name was Joe. He was like, he's like, you should look into it. You'd be good at it. Some random dude, some random trainer.
And that changed your life?
Literally changed my life. Literally. Yeah. And
I
loved working out. I loved working out at the time, but I thought I was going to go more into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And especially once I started working out and actually developing, like, people are like, oh, with your like size and structure and height, you'll be perfect for it, right? Just shorter stature. So to me, it made sense. He said that. I like looked into it a little bit on the internet, you know, and like on YouTube and stuff, whatever, like 10 years ago. And like 3 months later, I got into my first competition. And my first year competing, I think I competed 4 times in like 7 months.
Oh, wow.
You know, which I'll never do right now. Like I'll never, I compete like twice a year maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but back then I was just so excited. I love it so much. I just went where I went. So yeah, some random offhanded chance. Some guy just got me. But yeah, bodybuilding.com, I was definitely around back then. I think my screen name was The Prodigy. Something terrible like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, bodybuilding.com phone days were amazing.
Were you like deadlifting 405 on the Smith machine at Planet Fitness for someone to come up to you?
I mean, so Planet Fitness back then, this is before they got rid of all the free weights. So we actually had a barbell, like a free weight barbell. It was literally one in the whole gym. And just kind of getting to know some of the people there, they would let me deadlift. So literally, like for my first, whatever it was, 4 competitions, I was working out at a Planet Fitness, you know, like,
wow.
And they would let me, deadlift there. They would let me squat there. It was one bar and I would go and find it. And,
they weren't smashing that lunk alarm?
There was one girl. She would. Everybody else was really cool. And everybody else, the guy Joe, the guy who told me, the trainer, he was cool. The whole staff, they were really, really cool. Now that gym is still there. And now it's like not even nowhere near where it used to be. But yeah, it was fun times and Planet Fitness. Pretty crazy to.
Yeah, man, I'm totally with you. Being like 17 and not being able to afford more than a $10 gym membership.
Yeah. Well, it was right down the street from our house, so it was like literally the closest gym. And one of my buddies, Jonathan, who I was working out at the time, he would literally pick me up from my house and we would go together like every day. So just because he lived in the community across the street, and it was like 2 minutes, we would just drive. We would go get like terrible unhealthy food after all the time. That was our day. That was like our days. So it was fun, so much fun, man. Just thinking back at that time.
The good old days.
About that. Seriously, I haven't thought about that in a long, long time. But yeah.
So I know you, like you said, you kind of have like a few business ventures going on, right? Like you own a supplement store, or you own like a few supplement stores. And
so we have. So we have. I own 3 supplement stores. We have 3 supplement stores locations. Just here. So I live in South Florida. I live in Palm Beach County. I live in Palm Beach Gardens. We have stores in Wellington, Boynton Beach, Palm Beach Gardens as well. Yeah. So they're just supplement stores, kind of like Vitamin Shop, GNC kind of places.
Okay.
They're just called Total Nutrition. So I have that. I have the stores, which I've done since like 2014. I've had those, and then I have 2 other supplement companies. So I have the Conscious Muscle Supplements, right? That's a company that me and Jordan started like 3 years ago. Kind of when he first got popping, I went up to him. I was like, "Look, dude, your brand's blowing up. I don't know what the hell you're doing, buddy, but like, 'cause people love you." And I was like, I really know supplements. I know business a little bit. We can do this. Let's try it. Let's just try to come up with our own supplement brand. and we get to make our own products, manufacture our own stuff, like actually build like the ingredient profiles we like and just everything. We don't have to like answer to nobody. We don't have to do like white label stuff. There's plenty of these white label brands out here, right? Like, no, we got to like actually pick all the ingredients and the flavors and this and that. And so yeah, we started that about 3 years ago, and that's been really cool to see kind of that grow from like one product. Now we have like 12 different supplements. So that's been really cool. And then just recently, earlier this year, we launched the Vegan Monster brand.
Right. That's
with
awesome.
Doyle. Yeah, and that's been like so sick, man.
Dude, how did that
Doyle's
happen?
like,
That's so cool.
so it's pretty crazy. So me and Jordan started the brand, and Doyle actually reached out to us, and he was like, "Hey, can I try your guys' stuff?" He's like, I just want to try the proteins." And we sent him to him, and he was like, "I love this stuff," you know. And we were like, "Wow," you know. And he was just super cool supporter. We ended up meeting him, going to a couple of his shows, like VIP, the whole thing, and like actually getting to meet him and talk.
That's so cool,
like, yeah, just literally off of like making a supplement brand. We got to like actually connect with this dude, and then we had a conversation one time. It was me and Jordan, and then Doyle, and his partner is Alyssa. I don't know if you know who Alyssa is.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so she's lead singer for Arch Enemy, like a really, really big, they're pretty huge band. And we got on a phone call with them, and Doyle just threw it out there. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "what do you think about we just go into business with you guys?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What if we just created like our own product?" And he was like, "It would be like a co-brand thing." And then I was like, I don't know, man. It seems complicated, you know. And it was like, I was like, I don't know, what the hell is this guy saying? And that took about a year, and just going back and forth and figuring out details and creating the product, and here we are.
Yeah.
You know? And it's been just so much fun. He's the nicest, best guy ever.
It's so cool
the
to hear
guy's
that.
jacked. Yeah, the guy's jacked.
You see him in person, right?
Sick. Oh, dude.
He's just as big in person.
The sick thing about it's not just how big he is. He's incredibly lean. He's got like no body fat. Like people like look at his pictures when he's like shirtless and stuff. The guy's like 6-pack, just shredded. Shredded.
Yeah.
But obviously like a big guy too. But the shape he's in is what's like actually incredible about him.
He's pretty tall too, right? He's like 6'2" or something.
Yeah, he's like he's probably about 6'2", 6'3". He is taller.
Okay.
We have a funny picture with me, Jordan, him, and I'm like 5'7", so he looks like freaking a giant.
Yeah.
Jordan's like 5'10". Yeah, he's probably about 6'3" maybe. He's a big dude. But just the nicest guy ever. And
that's
like
so cool.
The businesses, yeah, dude, it's been super fun. It's been really successful this far, which is cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been killing it.
Yeah, dude, it surprised all of us. You know, we ordered, we made our first run of product, and we sold out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And like we just weren't expecting that, you know. And after that, I was just like, well, we can like go big or go home. So we ordered like 4 times as many units this time, you know. Yeah. And like we're almost out of those, you know. So like it's been really cool. Just like figuring it out together, trying them out with new products, doing this, like we literally launched like during like mid pandemic, like in April, you know, when everybody's like freaking out and the world's still completely crazy. But so yeah, if we were like, look, if we can launch and actually do good during this, like we can crush it once like the world is back to normal. One day, not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, one day.
Post-apocalypse.
Things are kind of right. Post 2020, hopefully, man.
You know, speaking of which, how's Florida doing right now?
Florida's gonna Florida, man.
I heard Florida's really rough.
People just it's it's really, really bad. Like down in Miami, like Miami-Dade County. And I live in Palm Beach County, an hour and a half north of Miami. It's about half from Miami. We're about an hour, which is Broward County. So those, I mean, just not good at all. The cases are insane. The death rate has been pretty high there.
Wow.
Which is super unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, Florida, we lead the nation in cases. You know, we have more cases than a bunch of countries, a bunch of big countries. People here, it's like, it's a weird thing of people don't want to wear their masks. People don't want to, like, everybody wants to just hang out and just go places. And, you know, we're a super Republican state here. So the governor is basically keeping everything open. So this thing is spreading like wildfire, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, man. It is what it is. It's kind of, it just seems like it's going to last really everywhere until there's a vaccine, right?
Yeah, I know, man.
I don't know. I'm not a freaking expert.
I know.
But,
it sucks, but
yeah,
I'm sure once everything goes back to normal, yeah, I'm sure like the monster protein will like fucking take off, dude. It looks awesome.
For sure. Yeah, it's, oh, dude, the label's sick. Doyle and Alyssa literally like designed it themselves. It's like the coolest looking label I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
It's like metallic, like it glistens. It's just cool. So, yeah, post-apocalypse, like you said, things are kind of go back to normal, hopefully. And yeah, but I'm not worried about that business at all. Like it's done well thus far. It'll continue to do well.
Yeah,
it's just a really cool opportunity for us. And yeah, we'll kind of like just continue to see where it goes. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. Supplements, just supplements, right? Supplements in general, just kind of what I've always been interested in, and just what I've always wanted to do business-wise. So now I kind of just get to pick and choose, like just exactly what I'm doing, and supplements are what I want to focus on. You know, it's what I like, it's what I enjoy. You know, we actually get to like help people, and that's cool. So yeah.
Well, we're on the topic of supplements. Is you own a supplement store and everything? Are there any you recommend to lifters and like in general that aren't as common as like, you know, creatine, protein and stuff, or vegan lifters, anything like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's really where you want to be focusing in on, right? Creatine, right? Number one natural muscle building something to take. Creatine's very, I think, like misunderstood by all customers, but I think even like more specifically vegans in general.
Yeah.
So creatine's something that, first of all, if you're taking any creatine, it should be creatine monohydrate, right? It's not just the most cost efficient, but it's actually like the most studied and proven form of creatine you can take. Creatine is also something you should be taking every day, right? Even non-training days. It's super important. I would try to explain to customers like creatine is to me, it's the same thing as a multivitamin, right? It's a daily supplement. So training or not training, not only that, but I also take my creatine at the same time every day. I think that's very good for your body. When should you take creatine? Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. It makes no difference at all. You could take it in the morning. Like I take mine in the morning because I train early in the morning. You could take it after you work out. You could take it before bed. It makes no difference. But it should be taken once a day, every single day. Don't cycle creatine, get off. Low is a terrible option for on like liver function, kidney function, organ function, things like that. But besides creatine, obviously a good plant-based protein would really help. I take like amino acids as well. So whether it's like plant-based, they should always be plant-based, right? As far as fermented ECAs or EAAs or glutamine or whatever it is. I take that a couple of times a day. I take a couple protein shakes a day. I do my creatine every day. Besides that, it's a lot of just general like vitamins. I think that's where, like, obviously as vegans, we should be getting them like B12 and D3. Right now, I've been taking like a bunch of vitamin C. I've been taking like some of the echinacea. I've been taking some of the and a bunch of stuff. I take a plant-based flaxseed oil, obviously instead of like fish oil, right? Fish oil you shouldn't be doing. But omegas are still super important. So like you can get your omegas through flaxseed for the most part. There's like sunflower oil. There's a bunch of different types of like plant-based omegas.
Mm-hmm.
I usually get that in with my meals. I take like 3,000 milligrams of turmeric a day. Right, I think turmeric's great for me for just anti-inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it makes a big difference when it comes to just like more sort of joint function. So things like that, I think, like vegans can focus on, but the big ones are always, like I said, some type of amino acid complex, some type of protein, and then a good normal creatine monohydrate.
Mm-hmm.
That should really be the focus for the most part. I mean, I also take like pre-workout and nitric oxide. I take a bunch of stuff, but again, doesn't mean everybody else needs to.
But those are just the staples, like protein.
The staples,
right.
For sure. Absolutely. Okay. That's what you should be taking.
Gotcha.
Focusing on at least.
I don't want to take too much of your time up because I know we've already been going for an hour, and I know you have an early date and everything tomorrow, I'm sure.
Sure.
So just to kind of start like wrapping things up a little bit, is there any sort of like advice you could offer to like, I don't know, like newer powerlifters or something in terms of programming or even just, I don't know, vegan athletes in terms of nutrition or anything, just general pointers, something they can take away from everything, I guess?
Yeah, I think
that's kind of a general question, but like
no. Yeah, but no, it's a good question. Yeah, I think like I should always try to think of like a lot of the questions that I'll get like on whatever online platform. It's usually training frequency, I think, really matters a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I think focusing in on like if you're after strength, right, you got to just train. Like people are like, oh, how do I get a better bench? You just bench more. It's not, and like it sounds so dumb, but it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Right. Like powerlifters believe in frequency. And I think it has to be frequency as far as what your body can handle. Like when I tell people like, hey, obviously deadlift is my best lift. And I'm like, look, I deadlift once a week for the most part. Like at times in my programming, I'll throw it in twice a week, but the second day is usually a very light day or some type of like variation day, like variation deadlift day. So it's like, I know for me, I couldn't deadlift 3 times a week and actually get stronger doing that.
Yeah.
But for some random person, they may be able to. And I think it's focusing in on, hey, what is my weakest areas? What are my weakest links? And then just really, really, really training them. I think getting completely away from the bro split, like people have to throw that away.
Yeah, totally agree.
Back and biceps,
yes.
chest and triceps. It's just not a thing. It's just completely not a thing.
My cat's coming to say hi.
You're good. You're good. You're good. It has to be more like, right, I think upper lower days are phenomenal for anybody at any level. Beginner, experienced, super advanced. I think upper lower days or push pull leg days, like splits. I think that's very important. When it comes to dieting, I think it's, again, I believe in a higher protein diet than probably most people. And I also believe in just tracking, like I think a lot of powerlifters specifically, like if I'm talking to vegan powerlifters, a lot of vegan powerlifters are lazy, man. They're just they're not that great when it comes to their diet. Right?
And that's like already a pretty limited, like, niche right there, vegan powerlifter.
100%. Yeah. And powerlifters in general, right? Not just vegan powerlifters. Powerlifters in general can get pretty lazy. Only care about what they're eating when they're prepping for competition, or not go down in a weight class because it's just like, oh, I can't keep track. No, what am I supposed to not eat this much and train super hard? Yeah, that's what I do. Like, what do you mean? Yes.
You're also more jacked than a lot of powerlifters. Like you're lean for the most part, right?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely do try to stay in good shape. I think a lot of that has to do with just training, right?
Yeah.
And watching what I'm eating, right? So like those two things definitely do play a part. If I was eating like 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day and not really caring and 500 grams of carbs, I wouldn't be able to stay in the shape that I stay in.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it definitely plays a big part. For me, staying in good shape though is just to make sure my body's always acclimated to make it through my training.
Yeah.
I train 6 days a week, about 2 hours a day. And I train very early.
Shit.
Like, yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
For like my schedule, like my schedule's jam packed.
Yeah.
Like today, today is Wednesday. I woke up at 2:30 this morning to get my training.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's what my schedule calls for. Yeah.
Dude, that really, like, you know, when people always say like, oh, there's no time, I can't work out, things like that.
Right.
You know,
That's
like,
the best.
yeah, then
Right.
that always like really strikes a nerve with me, because people like you and other people that I meet, like, they're up at 2:30, 3:30 a.m. and they're working out that early, and they're still working 12-hour days or more.
100%.
And like
100%.
I just think it's a bullshit excuse.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it also, like, me talking about myself, it can come across as like arrogant, and that's not at all what I'm trying to come across as.
Right.
But yeah, I literally don't have time to train. Like, I don't. So for me, it's like, I'm gonna make the time because I love it.
Yeah.
But the thing that's gonna get sacrificed is my sleep. It is what it is. Like, if I slept more, I'd probably.
How much do you sleep, out of curiosity?
Not much, dude. I'm a terrible sleeper.
Wow.
Like, what time is it? It's 9:52. So I'm waking up at 2:30 tomorrow. No,
dude.
Like,
I feel so thankful.
Yeah, no. And I'm honestly not even that tired. Me and my wife, we probably would have just been watching the Dodgers are playing. So I probably just been watching that with her. So at the time, the main thing to do it is just getting up super early, because I've been up since 2:30 and I worked for about 12 hours today. Right? Get home, eat dinner. Now I'm doing this, and then tomorrow it's a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
So that's what my schedule basically is during the week, and I made it work. Right? I made it work through prep. I made it work through just competing in competition. My schedule will probably stay like this for the next couple of months at least.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, no time. Get out of my life with that. Like, if if somebody like myself can train a couple hours a day, I work 7 days a week. Like, I don't say like, oh, I own these businesses, and like, that's cool, and it is cool. I'm very grateful, but like, it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
It's not like you just luckily get here. Like, no, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, not everyone can do that at all.
Yeah, and not everybody should. Right? Yeah. Not everybody should. Not everybody. Yeah, and not everybody has the same aspirations, which is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just getting back to the diet thing real quick, like, I think that is the number one way that people can start to see a difference just in their physique physically.
Mm-hmm.
Also, obviously, when it comes to strength, it's just being better about tracking, right? Tracking calories, tracking protein, looking at the sources that they're getting their stuff in, not going like cheap on random like ingredients and things like that. I see that a lot. People are like, oh, I'm just gonna get the cheapest plant-based protein. I'm like, well, cool, but like, what if it's messing up your stomach for the day? Or what if, like, you just really, really don't even like the taste, therefore you're not drinking your protein shakes like you should be every day because you just completely despise it. Like, I always think about things like that. So I think those small intricacies, frequency when it comes to training, push, pull, leg days, upper, lower days, whatever it is, and then just being better about dieting. I think those are just the easiest way to make improvements.
Yeah.
Besides, hire a good coach, go look long and hard and try to hire somebody that is decent at what they do and has proven track results with the people that they've actually helped. I think that could be the answer for some people, because some people just don't know. Right? Like, I'm saying push, pull, lower, or I'm saying upper, lower, and people are like, what the hell does that even mean? Upper what? Lower what? Like, somebody may not know what that means.
And don't do the RTS intermediate program, right?
Do not do that. Oh my gosh. Completely stay away from that. Don't follow their diets either, because they do not put out a good plant-based diet at all.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
They didn't have one for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody that I know got their plant-based diet maybe like last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually like vegetarian, and they had to make it vegan. That was a whole other problem.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't good at all. Right? If you're gonna hire somebody to do your nutrition that's vegan, hire somebody that's vegan, please.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like, it'll just be so much easier for you long term.
Yeah, of course.
I think things like that, man. I think small things like that. I know that's what's helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Just over years and years of years of now being vegan, being an athlete, competing, training. And those are definitely things that can help other people as well.
Yeah.
So
those are great tips, man.
For sure.
I feel like you should get to sleep.
Yeah, I should. I should.
But dude, thank you so much for taking the time.
Not a problem, dude.
I know
Anytime.
You're super, super busy, and like I really, really appreciate you talking, because I mean, it's great to hear from someone so strong and like, you know, so influential with powerlifting, and especially you know, being a vegan and everything. That's so cool. So thanks so much, man. And just
no
like,
problem.
so where can everyone find you on social media and like all your business ventures and such?
Yeah. So probably Instagram, like it's my name. So it's Marco Galindo Jr.
Okay.
And then from there, all my businesses, all the stores are just right in my link.
Okay.
They're all tagged there. So yeah, Marco Galindo Jr. On Instagram, definitely is a way to contact me too. I try to answer literally every message that I've ever got in my life. I've answered. I'm not famous. I'm not like important. So I always try to find time to, like, if anybody has any random question, 100% I always answer it.
And that's awesome, man. Like being as busy as you are, like that's such a cool thing to do. It's awesome.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right, cool, man. Well, thank you so much.
Sounds good, dude.
Yeah, great talking to you, dude. I'll catch you in a message or something.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Marco. I'll see you later.
See you, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Aethix Approach podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, it would mean a ton if you gave the podcast a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, RadioPublic, PocketCasts, Stitcher, PlayerFM, PineCast, or any other service you're listening to, and subscribe to the Aethix Fitness YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page. Feel free to check out the articles, training and nutrition programs, and merch on aethixfitness.com. And if you like what I'm making, dropping a like, commenting, and sharing would really, really help me out. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.